Join us, your hosts, Alma,
And ja,
in our journey to find.
or to create a positive workplace.
You're listening to
Generation Positive.
Hello! I hope you guys are having a great day so far. Welcome to the first episode of Generation Positive. Woo!
Yay!
Woo!
Woo!
Ayan. So yun, the title of our episode today is Finding Your Perfect Match. Wow! Where we
Wow.
will be talking about what to look for in a workplace and possible workplace red flags. Alam mo, like getting a good job is like finding like a lifelong partner. It's gonna be there with you for a really long time, and it's gonna be there to provide
Yeah.
you satisfaction. So you really have to find the right one. So
Mhm.
that's simple. Pero ano ba yung workplace red flags? Kasi mas complicated yun. Jack, can you talk about that?
I mean, di ba, workplace red flags, it's kind of like red flags, pero sa context ng workplace. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's like finding nga the perfect match for you. Eh, di ba yung term na red flags nanggaling siya sa ano, yung mga nakikita mo sa tao which leads to like, nagiging
Yeah,
factor siya sa
oo.
toxic relationship. So, for
Mm-hmm.
this episode, yung workplace red flags, yun yung mga contribute sa toxic workplace
Tama, oo.
environment mo. So, it's not because maybe it's because of your boss, maybe
Mm-mm.
coworker, but
Many
maybe
different
also
reasons.
it's about, kultura rin ng trabaho yun eh. So,
Oo.
yeah, those are the workplace red flags.
Yeah, ayun. So yun, tutulad nga ng mga relationship na may red flags, pati sa trabaho meron rin. And we're really gonna explore that further.
Yeah.
Ayun.
And of course, we're gonna explore it further nga and we're not gonna do that alone, yay! Because
Yay!
here we have a very special guest, John Baluyot. Woohoo!
Yay!
He is the
Hello.
CEO and co-founder of Positive Workplaces. He has a college degree in behavioral science and a master's
Mhm.
in leadership.
Wow.
And he's been leading, mostly Gen Z tayo and
Mhm.
millennials for almost 2 decades now.
Wow.
So, masasabi natin na Alma, he's a great boss. Ooh,
That's right.
yeah, he's
Oh,
our boss.
boss, guys. Boss namin siya.
He's
Ayun.
our boss.
John, how are you?
Hi,
I'm very
John.
good, Alma and Jack. Thank you so much for having me. Well, parang hindi na-sponsor yung, yung podcast.
Ayun.
Thank you for approving this project.
Oo.
You are most welcome.
Wow. We're really excited to have you because John, as a boss talaga, always has a lot of really good things to say, very wise, but he
Yeah.
also knows how to put it in the best way. So yan, John,
Mm-hmm.
I hope we're not hyping you up too much. I guess we can start with yung first question natin, John. What the people really want to know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do we look for in a workplace? Like, ano yung importante? And maybe on the flip side, we can talk about it also. If we know what to look for, what are the red flags naman that we should be looking out for? Diba?
Yeah.
So for me, like just in relationship, red flags are based on mismatches. Diba? Like for
Ooh.
example,
Nice.
if naghanap ka ng romantic partner or ng life partner, tapos yung life partner mo na yon hindi compatible sa in a lot of ways because your values are not aligned o kaya
Mm-hmm.
because you don't understand one another and you don't see one another eye to eye, it will not last for a long time, and for a
Totoo.
lot of us, diba, it probably will scar us for life.
Yeah.
That's the
Trauma.
same thing with a job. Kasi in a job, can you imagine like, kung yung jowa mo or yung asawa mo kasama mo lang sa isang araw for less than 6 hours of your waking life. Yung trabaho kasama mo yan sa araw-araw mo from 8 hours to
Yeah.
14 hours depending on how sucked in you are at work.
Oo.
So if we are giving priority, for example, to looking for that perfect match in a romantic relationship, why not look for the perfect match in a job when we are
Tama.
spending a
Oh.
lot more hours there? Diba?
Mm-mm.
So for me, the red flags would be ano yung mga sources of mismatch mo doon sa trabaho na papasukan mo. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can mention some of the factors. So for example, like I've been working with a good number of, sabi mo nga, Gen Z and Gen Y people.
Mm.
No? And one of the things that I really saw na naging factor for deciding for them to take a job is culture. Yung kung ano yung meaning or ano yung value na binibigay ng kumpanya sa mundo. So kunyari ikaw, nagbebenta ka ng sardinas, ganyan. Tapos ang sinabi mo doon sa a-applyan mo is, so what do you do? What is it exactly that you stand for? Tapos as an interviewer, sinabi mo na, nagpa-produce kami ng sardinas. So parang for for a millennial or a Gen Z person, it's like, okay, pero there are hundreds of other
Yeah.
organizations na nagpo-produce ng sardinas, di ba? So what makes you different
Yeah.
and why would I want to be able to work with you? And I say this with so much pleasure because before kasi, when people are looking for jobs, mahirap maghanap. Sobrang
Oo.
hirap maghanap ng trabaho kasi dati, para makapaghanap ka ng trabaho, kailangan mo ng yellow pages, o di ba?
Mm.
O
Oh my
kaya
gosh.
titingin ka sa classified ads ng Manila Bullet. But now it's different, di ba? Like right now, all of these information you can access online. And because of the digital
Yeah.
age, more employees or more applicants have access to information. It's easy to
Mhm.
compare company A to company B to company C to company D and like just keep on sending applications. And a lot of the power right now is coming from the applicant. So
Mhm.
applicants in your generation, based on my observation, they're very particular with meaning. Ano ba
Mhm.
yung, what do you stand for as a company? What do you value? Do you value psychological safety? Do you
Mhm.
value competition? Do you value
Mm.
excellence? Do you value um, compassion? Ganyan.
Yeah.
And for
Uh-huh.
me, the red flag there is, if, for example, the organization, number one, does not exactly know what they value. Kasi may
Yeah.
ganon, di ba? May ganon. Yung katulad ng example ko kanina, what do you stand for or what do you do? We sell
Oo.
sardines. Okay, so what's your
What else?
purpose? What's your meaning?
Why?
So why, di ba? Why?
Oo.
So and a lot of organizations probably either have lost it, alam mo yon, the owners have
Yeah.
originated that idea tapos biglang nawala na because there are succeeding generations of people who
Mhm.
inherited the business or leaders who inherited the business. So pwedeng na-blur siya. O kaya pwede naman na, alam mo yung mga sinasabi ng organization na this is what we stand for. Pero
Yes.
pag
Mhm.
tinignan mo in real life, parang hindi naman yun yung ginagawa
Hindi
nila, di
naman.
ba? Di naman,
Oo.
we
Correct.
stand for truth and honesty and veracity.
Oh
Tapos,
my
pag
God.
tinignan mo yung social media account, puro fake news. O kaya yung, pag tinignan mo yung leader, ano
Okay.
ba yan? Pag ganyan yung mga leader, mga sinungaling. so,
Oh no!
so, pag tinignan mo yung culture, so it's either that probably a red flag is an organization who doesn't know or that doesn't know what exactly they mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or that what exactly they stand for. O kaya, an organization who says that they stand for this, but
But
they
hindi naman.
actually act otherwise. Diba?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you like an example in the perspective of positive workplaces. So positive workplaces, diba, is a startup. You know, because you encountered it. So we just
Yes.
started last year. And startup companies, generally people will not just apply in it. Kasi
Oo.
nga, bakit ka mag-a-apply sa hindi pa stable? O bakit ka
Mhm.
mag-a-apply sa bago lang, hindi pa malakas yung
Mm.
brand, etc.
Mm.
But you know what, in positive workplaces, we never had a hard time hiring people, getting
Yeah.
Mhm.
interns. And that was because of the culture and the purpose of the organization. The purpose
Yes.
of the organization is we co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. So
Yeah.
every time we send that in as an application ad, people would tell us in their letter of intent na, yeah, I
Mhm.
want to be part of that, no? I don't like toxic
Mm.
workplaces, eh. So,
Oh my
I saw
gosh.
my sister. Kaya may nakita ka ako sa application. I saw my
Oo.
sister. She was so stressed with her job and I don't want that to happen to me. So, I'm very passionate about. Okay, I saw my
Mm.
mom. Oh my God, my mom doesn't come home anymore because of how busy it is at
Oh
work.
my God.
I don't want that to happen to me. So, I want to be able to work in an organization that tries to change the world a workplace at a time in trying to
Yeah.
make it a little bit more positive. So that
Mhm.
purpose and the culture that comes with it, like the culture of compassion, psychological safety, openness, when people feel that because they see that we are living it as an organization,
Mhm.
they get drawn to it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the examples of yung mga tao who get drawn to it have similar values. Napansin nyo,
Mhm.
hindi naman lahat ng tao maa-attract nun eh. May mga tao na parang, ano ba yan? Sobrang cheesy naman itong kumpanya.
Oo.
Mhm.
I wanna maintain distance. So,
Yeah.
so it's not for everyone. Pero yung mga tao na naniniwala doon sa values na yun, that is the culture that fits with your personality. Kasi yung hugot mo, tsaka yung hugot ng kumpanya, nagko-converge.
Oo,
So
oo.
that's an
Yeah.
example of what a
Yeah.
lot of Gen Y and Gen Z people are looking for in companies.
Mhm, mhm. Alam mo diyan, actually, I wanted to cut in kasi ako, I mean, speaking from very little experience kasi I mentioned it, pero I'm just a fresh grad and I don't have a lot of work experience. But I can honestly say, when I started looking for jobs, very turn off talaga sa akin yan when this company that I'm applying for, parang senseless yung ginagawa nila. Sure, they can be a very successful company, they're making money, but then when they themselves don't even know why they are doing what they're doing, parang there's really like a disconnect, and it makes me feel like,
Mhm.
feel ko di ako tatagal dyan kasi I know who wants to aimlessly wander. Parang that's the feeling I'd be joining a
Oh,
company like that. Di
yeah.
ba? Wala. Relate lang
Kaya nga
talaga.
naging
Yeah,
intern tayo ng positive workplaces.
Oo nga eh.
mga sip-sip talaga. No, no, I mean,
Sorry.
Alma, to your point though, to your point, like it's possible naman that you will still apply. Like a lot of people are
Oo.
still looking for jobs, eh. And like even if some companies do not have meaning, if the second aspect kasi is pay, 'di ba? Like if the
Mhm,
pay
yeah.
is good, people will be like, oh my god, like
Actually.
I'm willing to work for a company who will pay me 30,000 pesos even if I'm just a fresh grad or something like that. So
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
also a factor, di ba? People will look for compensation naman. And I'm not gonna kid you na people are just looking for meaning. I mean, come on, di ba? People will
Mhm.
also be looking
Yeah.
for money kasi they will need money to spend in order for them to live the life that they want or dream about for themselves.
Tama.
But
Yeah.
but the pay factor, at least based on based on like a resource that I read no from Michael Page, it trumps the culture or meaning trumps
Mhm.
pay. Kasi I've
Yeah.
seen so many people who have actually preferred working for a company that paid them less, pero the
Mhm.
meaning is so much more. So I'll give you
Mhm.
an example. Like for example, in my case, when I came from my first company, I was already a manager then, and I was earning so much
Mhm.
already for a 3 year experience
Mhm.
employee. Tapos I went to SGS, and they
Mhm.
offered me something that is like probably like they gave me a 40% to almost 50% pay cut. That's
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
that's how big the pay cut was. And I was like, is this worth it? Kaya
Mhm.
SGS is a multinational company eh.
Yeah.
I know what they do. Like, diba? Like, they are a leading multinational company that does verification, inspection, testing. And I know that the values of the organization, which is integrity,
Mhm.
innovation, I want to be part of that. Because if they can grow very fast, maybe I can grow fast with them. And maybe that salary will increase so
Oh.
fast while I'm inside.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
true enough, it did. Because the organization was so dynamic. When I entered it and I took the pay cut and I accepted the position, I felt that I could grow into this and I can earn whatever it is that I got as a pay cut back in just a short span of time. And you know what I
Mhm.
did? I think in just like 2 years, I got less than 2 years, I got my original pay, and it didn't stop from there. Like I
Wow.
Mhm.
got into that 6 digit salary that I've always dreamt about,
Mhm.
after a certain period of time. And it followed because I loved what the organization
Mhm.
stood for or stands for.
Mhm.
I really appreciated that the culture in SGS. So the second factor is pay. Does it match what you are expecting? If it
Tama.
doesn't, are you willing to wait a little bit for the trade-off na, yeah, the culture is good, and you might be able to grow into that organization? And I guess, Alma, like, Like, let's be frank here. Probably that's the same reason why we got you and Rafi. Like, you are UP cum laude graduates, and you have a lot of other opportunities in front of you. Now, you probably could have taken any time, probably high
Mhm.
paying, more than positive workplaces. And here you are, accepting an offer from a startup on a salary that's
Oh.
not as competitive as a lot of people would
Mhm.
think. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? So,
Yeah,
Yes.
it really
sige nga,
does.
mag-violent reaction ka if you think. Tinapon ko. Subukan mo.
Yeah,
Subukan
that
mo
makes
mag-violent
sense now.
reaction.
Ako, I really understand. Like, for me, like, I really believe in that. Na, I also agree with you that culture trumps pay anytime. Culture and values trumps pay anytime. But ang ano ko lang with pay is, for the work that I do, I just need to be compensated enough. Like, ako, like maybe me, that's me sharing na, I don't place so much value or importance on that. But that's just really it for me. Like, I need to feel like I can continue with my life
Mhm.
with the pay that I'm getting. So, yun
Right.
lang for
And it's fine. And it's fine also, no? It's fine if your priority is pay. I'm not saying that it's bad.
me.
Kasi people can have naman the option to take the higher paying job for a lower meaning role. That's
Mhm.
because their family needs it. O kaya the
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
needs it to pay for, amortizations or investments that he has made. So it's not bad to prioritize pay also, as long as like you have a good reason for the trade-off. Kasi
Mhm.
another aspect of your life is being satisfied by it. And that
Yeah.
other aspect of your life is giving you meaning. Or kasi 'di ba, the meaning part is a very important pillar of well-being because people get connected, validation, the sense of worth in
Yeah.
meaning. So if the meaning is found in working in a job that pays you well, even if the role does not, but the
Yeah.
meaning is found in you being able to provide for your family, that is still
Yeah.
meaning and that could still be a match. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So
Makes
it's
sense.
Yeah.
still about the match. It's still about the match based on what is important to you.
Mm.
So in terms of pay,
Mhm.
um, if you don't have the need, for example, to take a high pay immediately, and the meaning is worth it, at least look for a company where you will see that there is quick progression of growth.
Yeah. Mm.
Kasi
Mhm.
then, possibly, the salary could follow in the same way that it happened to me.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So in
Mhm.
which case, the financial part could still be met. 'Di ba? Or could still be satisfied. So for me, that's the second
Yeah.
one. 'Di ba? Like, how does compensation play a part in your choice? 'Di ba?
Mhm.
I guess the last one for me is leaders. Leaders. Like, this is, like, the type of leaders that you will report to in the organization.
Yeah.
We were doing a survey. We did a survey before about what stresses people out, and one of the things that came out as the top one was their boss. And
Mm.
diba, like, you always hear quotes like, "People do not leave companies; they leave bosses."
Yeah.
And for me, I believe in that.
Totoo.
Leadership is reflective of the organization's culture. um,
Yeah.
the type of leaders that you have is satisfying also certain elements of well-being, like relationships, accomplishment, and engagement in that PERMA model of well-being. So,
Mm.
kunyari, yung leader mo, hindi marunong mag-feedback para i-engage ka.
Mhm.
How will you see you growing or communicating well with people inside the
Tama,
organization?
tama.
If you don't see you being acknowledged for your accomplishments by your leaders, why would you feel the sense of connection to the meaning of the organization? Or how will you feel the
Mhm.
connection,
Mm.
diba, to the meaning? So the leaders is very important. And you might be asking, paano ko malalaman kung okay yung leader na I will be reporting directly to?
Yeah. Early on
So,
pa.
yeah, early on, before during your application period. Well, number one, kung marites ka tapos medyo marami ka namang kilala to the point that you can also ask people around the organization, ask around.
Uh,
'Di ba? Do
yeah.
your
Yeah.
due diligence. Pero the second one, and this is the more tangible one, is you will encounter interviews. So depending on like how good you are, you will go to initial interview, technical interview, final interview, ganyan.
Mm-mm.
And
Mhm.
generally, the people who will interview you are the people who either you will be reporting to or people
You
who you
work
will be working
with.
with.
Mm-mm.
So try to gauge whether or not their values, their style, their demeanor fits
Swak ba sa'yo?
yours. Yun din
Yeah.
yon. Yun din yung isa pang red flag. Kasi nga, di
Mm-mm.
ba, relationships is one of the elements of well-being and engagement. So tingnan mo, na-engage ka ba? Maganda ba yung kalidad ng pakikipag-usap mo? Do
Mhm.
you do you feel that sense of inspiration ba na, shucks, yan ba yung magiging boss ko? Gusto kong magtrabaho at pumasok araw-araw sa opisina kung yan
Mhm.
naman din yung pagre-reportan ko, di ba? Yan yung gusto
Yeah.
kong tao na maging. Alam mo yon? Gusto kong
Mm-mm.
maging
Mhm.
siya kasi parang ang galing-galing naman itong tao na to. I will learn
Mhm.
so much from this person. So,
Mhm.
so that's one of the ways for you to also be able to see the red flag of, is it worth it to go to this
Mhm.
company through that boss?
Yeah.
Kasi
Mhm.
you will be surprised at how many people I know who took a high-paying job, risking it for a boss who they do not like. And right now, these are the
Oh,
same people who are feeling burned out, who you will see in Facebook
no.
talking about their boss. And alam mo yung
Uh,
Oh.
magpaparinig, kunyari, hindi obvious yung post sa Facebook, tapos in reality, pinaparinggan yung boss,
uh,
ganyan. O kaya pinaparinggan
Yeah.
yung office mate. So, it happens. It happens.
Mhm.
And, di ba, like, how do you derive satisfaction from being stuck with a person like that as someone who either could mentor you or someone who you have to interact to each day of your working life for a long time?
mm-mm.
Ta's
Mm-mm.
pipilitin mo lang sarili mo. No.
Correct, di ba? It's like you're pushing yourself to someone na di naman talaga kayo fit eh. Alam mo yun?
Ow.
Parang, again, di ba, parang sa love din yan. So, pilit ka ng pilit dun sa tao na sa tingin mo magsaswak doon sa hilig mo or sa estilo mo, pero kung hindi talaga, di
Oo.
ba?
Wag ka
You're
Mm.
martir.
not. Oo, wag kang pamartir.
So,
So,
John, I'm
so
like
yun.
hearing a lot of na parang kino-consider, 'di ba? Parang you're considering a lot of things before you ano, whether you're gonna like accept this job or gusto mong pumasok dito. So, pero kailan mo ba malalaman if like is it time to move on to the next opportunity?
Oo.
Kasi
Oo.
ang dami-dami, hindi
Grabe,
naman
ang
pwede 'di ba
layo
na
naman
parang
ng talon mo from
no!
hahanap ng trabaho.
Honestly,
From
I'm
hahanap ng
asking.
trabaho doon sa oh my God,
Oo.
kailan yung, paano ko mag-move on na? Parang
No, kasi
wala
ang
ka man
dami
lang
nang
doon sa gitna.
consider.
Wala ka man lang doon sa gitna. Na, kumusta naman yung trabaho inside after a number of years? Move on ka na
No!
agad. Kayo talagang mga Gen Z, napaka-short attention span.
Yes. Oh, you sound like my mom.
Nakakatawa
Napaka-cute mo,
naman din.
grabe. Ganun na ba ako katanda? Charot, joke lang baka mamaya makinig ng nanay mo, ito patayin ako bigla.
No, John, when you mentioned the yellow pages, parang age reveal na ba yun? Kasi di ko na yun
Hindi,
naabutan.
inabutan ko talaga yun. Grabe kayo. Itigil na nga natin to, mga siraulo kayo.
But yeah.
Alright. So yeah, so sige, so to your question, assuming na, assuming that you were able to work in a company for a bit na,
Mm.
I guess I guess the time to move on for me will depend on whether or not the match is still strong.
Mm,
Are you still happy, 'di ba? Listen to what makes you happy inside the workplace.
Mm.
So for example, in SGS, I stayed with them for a long time. I stayed with them for almost a decade.
Mm.
Um,
wow.
and and the reason why I left was not because I didn't love the company anymore. The reason why I left was because parang I felt that there is growth that I'm not getting after
Mm.
having stayed with them for a long time, because siguro I'm looking for something that I couldn't find there anymore. I'm looking for a meaning that
Mm.
Mm,
that SGS is not providing me anymore. Parang hindi na enough for me na I'm just riding on the coattails of the organization na
uh-huh.
Mm.
sige, so SGS is all about um, parang giving people peace of mind because of the
Mhm.
the certification testing and verification that they're doing in businesses.
Mhm.
But I'm not seeing, siguro at my age, I'm looking for something na, is it so connected to what I personally value to the
Mhm.
point that I can stay with it longer because it will
Mhm.
fully satisfy me. So
Mhm.
for me, it was still about my happiness at that
Mhm.
point in time was linked to meaning of my own personal purpose. So and it could be different from person to person. No? During
Yeah.
Yeah.
during that time for me, it was that.
Mhm.
For different people, it could be different. Eh. I'm not earning as much anymore. I
Yes.
think I'm worth more. O kaya
Yeah.
it could be something like, um, I don't like working with the people that I'm with anymore. O
Yeah.
kaya,
Mhm.
I don't feel engaged. Ganyan. O kaya, I don't feel that there's a lot of positivity in the organization. And
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
possible that we all have different sources of happiness. That's why the well-being model of Seligman is like that. For me, it was meaning. So listen to what makes you happy. If it stops, if what makes you happy stops to the point that you feel like you are just dragging yourself to work. Alam mo yun, yung ang
No.
hirap-hirap gumising sa umaga kasi alam mo na pag pumasok ka dun sa trabaho, yun na
Nakikita mo
naman yung
sila.
gagawin mo. Tapos, oo,
Parang ganun.
tapos you don't see the meaning.
Oo.
'Di ba? You don't see that
Mhm.
it's connected to what you ultimately want to contribute as a positive change to the world. Yun yung
Mhm.
feeling ko. Yun yung feeling ko. So that's why I started looking for opportunities. That's why I applied to the Australia Award scholarship kasi I felt like I needed a break. Na in SGS, because I'm starting to lose meaning, I knew that I was burning out because I was pushing myself so hard to my
Mhm.
job with very little satisfaction in the
Mhm.
end. So when that happened to me, I made a decision, 'di ba? I looked for other options,
Yeah.
'di
Mhm.
ba? And the option that opened up was a scholarship. So
Yeah.
so if you feel like you're dragging yourself to work, it's hard to wake up to the job, um it's you feel like hindi ka na masaya kasi even if yung mga kasama mo gusto mong kasama pero hindi mo gustong katrabaho. Um, o
Oh.
kaya o
Mhm.
kaya it's possible that what you are doing is becoming so tedious and difficult now for you to the point that it bothers you every day
Mhm.
and you start
Mhm.
to question why you're even there. I'm not saying
Mhm.
that you should resign. I'm saying that you should listen to yourself.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Kasi probably the world or the universe or yourself is telling you that there must be something wrong and that you
Mhm.
have to look for a way to be able to address it. So so it doesn't mean that you will look for another opportunity and move on. It just means that take a pause, evaluate what's happening, where is that element in your life that you're losing satisfaction in. And then from there, try to create options for you.
Mhm.
Look for a different job. Probably don't just look for one, look for multiple ones. Kasi
Yeah.
para
Mhm.
magkaroon ka ng options. Yun nga, for me, I applied for a scholarship. Other people, they actually stop working. If they can afford it, kasi feeling nila na
Yeah.
nakapag-ipon na sila, some of them will stop working and actually try to enjoy life a little bit for 6 months to a year just to find themselves. Um,
Mhm.
so yun, try to look for ways that will get you to realize what exactly you're missing out on.
Yeah.
I'm saying this from a perspective of privilege.
Yeah.
Kasi I only had to fend for myself. Eh. Kasi like my parents naman could support themselves, my brothers, they can support themselves. Pero if you can't, which posible kasi yun eh, di ba? Meron
Mm.
kang
Yeah.
meron,
May
if
anak
you're
ka
the
na.
breadwinner, totoo, di ba? May anak ka, may asawa ka, you're the breadwinner, meron kang magulang na sinusuportahan, huwag
Mhm.
kang basta-basta mag-resign. Kasi
Oo.
it's possible that your source of happiness is your family also. So
Mm.
Yeah.
if you quit that job, tapos nawalan ka ng source of income, kahit na hindi mo gusto yung trabaho mo, nawalan ka ng source of income, nag-resign ka, tapos nahirapan ka maghanap ng ibang trabaho or source of income, wala kang papakain dun sa pamilya mo, eh di ba lalong bababa lalo yung well-being?
Mm-mm.
Kasi
Yeah,
yung pinaka-importanting bagay sa'yo sa mundo, which is supporting your family,
hindi mo magawa.
hindi mo magagawa. So yung ganun din, same thing, your meaning or your accomplishment will deplete, and because those two elements of well-being in your life will start to go down, then your happiness and everything else that you think you stand for will also go down with it. So
Mm-mm.
so don't think that just because you're not happy with your job, the first instinct is to resign. Because
Mhm.
there could be other parts of your life that give you meaning din naman. And that your job is just a source of money.
Yeah.
Um, Huwag kayong magpadala dun sa mga tao lang na parang nagsasabi na, I love my job and I'm happy with my pay. Not everyone gets to have that privilege. Not
Mm-mm.
everyone
Yeah.
gets to have it. You have to look for it. I mean, ang swerte mo at ang galing mo if mahanap mo. Pero kung hindi, don't risk the other things in life that make you happy just because you're not happy with your job.
Yeah.
So yun, does that help with that second question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oo. Yeah.
Ako, I'm not, wala pa akong work experience or anything. Pero, I can imagine myself na rin after hearing you, John, and Alma, who's about to work na. So, yeah, I'm gonna be more, like, I'm gonna consider a lot of things also.
Yeah.
Pero, yeah, I'm mentally and emotionally preparing myself kasi anything can happen. Like, sabi mo nga, John, sa job mo, di ba, SGS ba?
Mm-mm.
I mean, yung meaning mo nahanap mo nung una, pero 'pag parang magbabago rin 'yan, eh, in the long run. We don't know, eh, like it can change for others, kasi
Yeah.
mag-iiba na rin yung mga hanap mo sa trabaho na yun. Kaya
Mm-mm.
yeah, hearing
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. Mm.
mentally preparing myself.
So, ayun, John, I think we just have one last question for you. Just a simple thing that you want our listeners to really take home from our podcast today. Maybe a step they can take.
You know what? The reason why it's positive workplaces, the reason why we created positive workplaces is because Nikki and I, we believe that work is a great pathway for well-being. That a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people get satisfied with their jobs because when they start to make meaning out of something that they're passionate about, tapos it coincides with what they do 8 to 14 hours in a day. Syempre, if you're well connected to it and if it puts you in a state of flow, you sometimes don't feel the time anymore. You just
Mhm,
feel the excitement. You just feel the engagement. You feel the happiness, the fulfillment, diba? And work for a lot of people can be equated to that. So my advice to you, if you're looking for a job, is the more entries you send, the more chances of winning. Alam nyo, ang maganda ngayon sa paghahanap ng trabaho is the power is in the applicant. You try to build as many options as you can. Apply to as many jobs that you think resonate well with your values. Kasi pag nagkaroon ka ng maraming options, mas marami ka ring opportunity na pwedeng mag-offer sa'yo, at yung mga offer na yun, pwede mong piliin kung sino yung pwedeng mag-match doon sa iyong personality, sa values mo, at doon sa kung ano yung gusto mo talaga sa buhay based on where you are currently in life.
mhm.
So, so it's very important to find that match. If you don't, well, it's not the end of the world, di ba? You have other opportunities to look for another match. Di ba? Same with jowa din naman yan, di ba? Nag-break ka dun sa una
Mm-hmm.
mo, tapos magkaroon ka ng opportunity magkaroon ka ng opportunity to realize that it doesn't work anymore or it doesn't make you happy
Yeah.
anymore.
Uh,
You try to build your pathways to find other ways.
mm-hmm.
Kasi kasi you have the power to build pathways now. Especially with access to information. Hindi na lang job street ngayon yung source ng jobs. Dati kasi job street lang kami, okay, yellow pages.
Mhm.
Ngayon marami na. Ngayon marami na. You have job street, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have friends, the
Yeah.
websites of the companies actually have access na to application processes. There are so many ways
Mm.
that you can look for a job that you want. Use the internet
Yeah.
well. The more
Yeah.
entries you send, the more chances of winning. And then when they start to offer, find the one that you think you match with the most.
Mm-mm.
and see if that will make you happy. Tapos yun na, try to live your life a day at a time, trying to see whether or not that organization is something that's really for you.
Mm.
Wow.
So yeah, I hope
Parang
that
jowa
helps.
hunting lang.
Totoo, di ba?
Options, options, options.
Damihan mo. Ano na ngayon, like, hindi ka na masaya sa Tinder lang, look for Bumble, look at
Oh my God.
Grinder, look for the other application that will be able to help you out. Ask referrals from your friends. Baka yung mga pinsan mo may mga i-recommend sa'yo. 'Di ba?
Mm.
Right.
Ako
Yeah.
na-meet ko yung asawa ko sa referral. 'Di ba?
Oh.
Ang dami kong ginawang proseso to be able to meet the love of my life. And now we're going to 15 years and I'm still very happy with where we are.
Wow.
So
So,
yun, that's
so
similar
pwede
to
natin,
jobs, di ba?
pwede natin sabihin, you found your perfect match. Wow, ganun
Oh.
ba, John? Wow. Alam mo, John, from
Gusto
what
ko
you
yung
just
ano, gusto ko yung pinilit mo talaga yung title sa huli. No?
Oo nga, because really from what you said, diba? It's like diba finding your perfect match. Like keep your options open, like keep trying. Like sometimes you can't just build your perfect match. You have to keep looking, keep trying, keep experiencing.
Wait lang, baka naman yung message mo parang Love Island. Pwedeng
Oo
parang
nga.
Love Island yung effect na baka mamaya kahit na
Guys,
may perfect match ka na, you will just keep on looking. Hindi naman ganun yung sinasabi ko.
guys, this
what
is
I'm
about
saying is,
workplace, ha?
what I'm basically saying is, listen to what makes you happy. Listen to what makes you
Mhm.
happy. Kung job man yan, if at some point in your life, the job doesn't make you happy anymore, listen to why. And
Mhm.
then, you can open yourself up to pathways again.
Yeah.
To whether or not you will be able to find the next thing that makes you happy. This is a very personal sharing, pero I've always told my husband, sabi ko sa kanya, pag hindi ka na masaya, sabihin mo sa akin. Kasi hindi ko ipipilit. I mean, it's gonna hurt me so bad if I still love him around that time. Pero hindi ko ipipilit yung sarili ko if I know that he's not happy anymore. I can say that at right now, so confidently. And that's the same thing with jobs. That's the same thing with jobs. If you think you're not happy anymore, the job is not happy with you anymore, maybe it's time to revisit the relationship. Diba? So, yun.
Mhm. Oh, thank you, John. Ooh. Guys, this is about workplace red flags. Baka isipin nyo like advice sa relationships.
Like oh my god, thank you
Yeah.
talaga, John. Like
Thank you, John, for being
mhm.
part of this podcast project. You know, ikaw unang episode namin and super worth it. And I'm so excited sa mga susunod pang episodes. So it was great having you here. And hopefully marami tayong natulungan and maraming naliwanagan sa mga kung ano
Yeah.
bang gusto talaga nila or kung ano dapat
Uh,
iwasan.
and like
So,
all listeners, I
yeah.
hope you find your perfect match.
Yes. And once again, you're listening to
Generation positive.
John.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
John.